Arsenal, Danny, it's fair to say, obviously rate Eddie Nketiah. It took them time, and it took Eddie time to put pen to paper, but it's happened. It's a new 5-year deal with Arsenal. And it appears, or it's been reported in such a way, that Eddie has been rewarded with the famous number 14 shirt. Who wore that in the past? I'll tell you who. A player who used to play against, Danny. Thierry Henrys. Now, there was a bit of an outburst in social media from certain Arsenal fans who maybe, some would say, unkindly said, Nketiah, the number 14 shirt? Are you kidding? How does he merit wearing that shirt? And some of them quite simply weren't having it. Should we attach much relevance, if any relevance, to the fact that Nketiah begins life next season wearing the number 14 shirt?
Well, I don't think he's come out and said, "Oh, I'm the new Henry," and it's how fans perceive a certain number, isn't it? Depending on the club and how iconic that number is, depending on the players who've worn it. I personally would have been saying to Nketiah, maybe you shouldn't put that pressure on yourself of having that 14. To be honest, because it is such an iconic number at Arsenal with what Thierry did. But he has, so don't hold it against him, support him. Let him get on with it and see how he does. I wouldn't put too much importance on. He's not trying to be the new Henry. He's just getting a new number for the new season, isn't he? We don't know the story behind it.
Well, that's right, Danny.
Unless he has actually said. So he hasn't said, has he?
I would say that's the logical view to take. I mean, some of the fans who are criticising him having number 14 shirt, Simon, were saying this epitomises the slide as to where the club finds itself now. That someone of the ability of Nketiah wears a shirt that the possibly greatest Arsenal player of all time, Thierry Henry, used to wear. Now, Ian Wright and the defender Gabriel have both come out saying, get off his back, this is not fair. It's not fair. Ian Wright hit back at the critics online. One branded Nketiah, quotes, not good enough for the number 14, saying that he should not be wearing that shirt.
Well, I mean, it's very difficult to get to a point where you're going to find a player that's better than Thierry Henry to wear that shirt. So what you do is you retire the shirt if you don't want that to make it a situation which becomes controversial. I really do think it's a moot point. The boy has signed a new contract. If he hadn't signed a new contract, that's the bigger issue. The signing of a new contract. There was a debate that he was not going to sign a new contract, and that how could this happen? How could Arsenal lose sight of a player that they've developed, they've brought through their youth academy, and when it comes to the crunch, they lose him. And that's the bigger story for me, rather than comparing and contrasting what he may or may not have to live with the legacy of Thierry Henry. I think Ian is right. I think Gabriel is right as well to say, oh, hold on a second. I'm not sure the terminology ungrateful is the right terminology to be using, because I'm not sure the players or the fans should be grateful for what the players achieve, because the players are very well positioned to be grateful for themselves for what they get. But I do think the bigger picture for Arsenal is that they've signed a young talent. They didn't lose it. It was their talent. They developed him. He's been through the whole rank of thinking of Arsenal's whole mentality and whatever that may or may not be, because it isn't winning anything really, besides the FA Cup in the last few years. But the bottom line is that he signed a new contract, and I'm not in the camp. Players make a production out of numbers. When a player couldn't have a 10 at Palace, they wanted a 55, so they could have a 5 and a 5 to make a 10, and so on and so forth. There is an element of players wanting to have what they want, but in this instance, I don't think the player has come out and said, I must have 14.
No, you wouldn't think so. I mean, to me, it seems that they should get their minds on other matters. A lot of these same Arsenal fans... Well, he's a super young talent. They should be pleased to sign, like Simon said. But a lot of them were suggesting Nketiah's not good enough to be signing on a 5-year deal basis with their beloved Arsenal.
You can't win, can you?
Ian Wright's like, on the shirt number thing, Ian Wright, I think he got it absolutely spot on. What's a number? Why don't you say anything if you've got nothing positive to say to our players? You can never call yourself an Arsenal fan with negativity like this. Would you say this to Eddie's face? Of course he would. But
that's not how it works, Ian. You don't get to hear just what you want. Right? That's not the territory that we live in the world. People have to accept this praise and criticism in equal measure. Players are praised by being given a 5-year contract. He is being praised by the club. That's the important part of the equation. There will also be a counterbalance for people who don't think he's good enough. That's the benefit of emotional investment in sport. Without that emotional investment of people having diverse opinions with different outlooks, you don't have the investment. Players don't get the benefit, the interest, the engagement, and the rewards as a result of it. Yeah. So, Ian, you're being a bit childish there.
A lot of them are saying, are questioning whether or not Nketiah is the right man to fire Arsenal to, say, top 4 next season, or to help Arsenal to a top 4 place next season, into a better position than they're in now. Is he the right guy? Now, that's not for Nketiah to argue, but certainly the top brass at Arsenal think he is.
I like him, but I'm not sure he's capable of...
Is that what they're saying then? Him on his own? Or they're going to supplement it with Jesus and other people?
Well, that's what I was just getting to. So,
Yeah,
is
he's
he
the only one at the moment. But
but he won't be, will he?
No, of course not.
Is he expected to carry the burden of that striking role on his own? I don't think so. If he was, you'd be saying, no, of course he's not ready to do that, I don't think. Is he a talent? Is he someone I think they should have kept and mould him into a better... Yeah, I like him. He's got that instinct, he's got that... But, like, sometimes you see him score those type of goals that... A bit like Wrighty used to. Not quite got Wrighty's talent, but, that kind of instinctive goals that you want to see strikers get. But they'll need... I think Jesus would be a terrific signing for us if they get it over the line.
Yeah.
I really like him. I really like him.
To me, this smacks of supporters having way too much time in their hands. Getting on social media and decided, I'm going to have a blast about this. I'm not having Nketiah wearing Henry's shirt number.
That might have been a 12-year-old in his bedroom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, true.
But it's an opinion, isn't it? And ultimately, how big an opinion it is and how many people are voicing that opinion, well, we haven't added that nuance to the conversation. Wherever you do it, for whomever you do it for, there will always be someone taking a diametrically opposed view. You can give people, as I've said repeatedly, you can give them a season ticket for free, you can buy the best players in the world, and there'll still be someone telling you somewhere along the line that the hot dogs are crap. That's how it works.
I like that.
How does it work Danny, how does it work at clubs? How did it work at your beloved Liverpool when squad numbers were handed out? Or how did you get yourself a squad number? How were you 13?
Well, funnily enough, one year there was...
well, look at him. You can work out why you'd be number 13, can't you?
Unlucky for some.
No, I'll tell you quickly. One year in my early time there was an auction for the numbers. Decided to scrap all the numbers and have an auction. So you had to like a charity auction. You have to buy your number. You have to buy your number.
But the players were bidding.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Right? Yeah.
So your hand went nowhere near your pocket. So you got 13.
Hold on. So 13 comes later.
Sure, standing there. Good afternoon. Let's start the auction.
You'd be amazed, and not
Who
going
did the auction?
Some of the lads. So some of the lads cared about what number they had because they understood the relevance.
Such as who?
And some of the lads didn't care. Yeah, good one. Some of the lads didn't care. So we walked away from this auction. Loads of money was raised, but actually certain people had numbers who didn't match their talent. You with me?
Such as who?
So shut up.
Did you contain yourself more?
So the hierarchy got involved, obviously.
Right.
And we had to, the manager, and then it went above him. Because obviously some of the numbers are iconic. And there's a merchandise issue, and there's, as you know, running a club, you wouldn't have your new striker who you
in
signed,
number 7,
right?
10 million wearing a number 1, would you?
So Stevie G was always going to get 8, right?
We were young.
Goalkeeper.
What?
We were young. We had no money to bid. Never mind.
Who were you bidding against?
Oh, well, this was early doors. There was Macca, Robbie, Ince, all of them were there. And as I say, some of the lads cared more than others. So
whose idea was this insane move?
I can't remember how it come
Too
about.
much free time on their hands.
All right, so describe the scene. Where was the auction? How did it start?
How did you get 13?
13 came later, so I was 24 my first year.
This is a very long story.
No, you're asking me different story. I'm telling you about...
We're trying to get you to the point desperately, aren't we, Jim?
We're fine.
If you didn't keep interjecting, it might already be there.
Well said, Dan. Well said.
So anyway, that didn't come to fruition. So the numbers were iconic and they were relevant, they were important, especially to the lads who knew how important they were. If you look at the 7 at Liverpool or the 10 and all these things.
How have you been, Simon? How was your weekend?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Sorry, Danny, crack on.
Athlete's foot.
Yeah. Okay, so under the hammer comes number 13.
So, no, I was...
Why'd you get 13, Dan?
I got 13 when Karl-Heinz Rieder left, who'd won the World Cup and won God knows Champions League with Dortmund.
Yeah.
And he came to Liverpool and he always wore 13, so he took the 13. I asked for the 13, but he got it ahead of me. So when he left, I took it. The reason I wanted 13 is because when I was younger, I was always playing in an older age group.
Did you take it or was you awarded it?
I took... What do you mean?
Well, did someone say to you, this is a World Cup winner here that's been here previously, you're of that same sort of standard, here's this one for you?
Well, of course they did.
Or did they just go, here, mate, no one wants this?
Yeah, more of that, yeah. But I wore 13 because when I was a kid, my first big tournament I played in, I got played tournament, scored hat-trick in the final because I was playing a year up.
I'm just going to go out and have a shave, but before we get to the end of this...
Clean shaven before the story started.
Who bid against who for a certain squad number? Give us
Come on.
What?
I was just telling
you brought it up.
Yeah, I know I did. And
come on, let's have some more detail
now. Half now, aren't you?
Because
you're not going
to tell a story.
You've teased us.
I thought you liked being teased, Jim.
So who paid for the most?
That's a different story entirely.
Who paid the most amount for his squad number?
I think the most expensive shirt, the biggest bid for a number was about 30 grand.
And who paid it?
30 grand?
Oh, come on.
One of the goalkeepers paid it for number 1. And then didn't end up with it anyway.
The goalkeepers paid it for
Sander Westerveld.
So
that was long before.
Right.
I think that was about the biggest. But it all got scrapped anyway.
And it all went, and money went to charity?
Nothing happened. Because it was some
Nothing
of the numbers.
So the money stayed in your pockets?
Some of the
Danny,
numbers.
So you didn't have an auction
for
then?
about 7-8 minutes now.
Well, we did have the auction, but it got binned.
Okay.
So it was an auction then?
Well, it was, yeah.
But there's no money exchanging things. So it wasn't an auction, really, wasn't it? It was just people saying, "I have that number."
Well, it was an auction.
For free.
They got scrapped.
If you are like
was a good
Simon and
story,
myself and feel aggrieved that Danny's just wasted 7 minutes of our lives, 03717 223344.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.